everyone, my name is Damilola Temitope and welcome to another edition of my Lagos Experience. In case you are yet to subscribe, please do and press on the notification button so that you see the video as soon as we post. Today we'll be talking about traffic and I'll be merging it with robberies in Lagos that I've experienced. I even experienced one recently, like 2 months ago. Um, it's not a good experience at all, so to say. Of course, nobody will experience traffic and robbery in Lagos and say it's a good experience, especially when you now experience the two together at the same time. You must have heard about sometimes ago when some people were robbing motorists on Third Milan Bridge while in the traffic, simply because there was traffic. A lot of people were just, they were even tired. Those that were not winding up their glass were robbed effortlessly. So many mirrors were broken and stuff like that. And it usually happened in Ojota. I've experienced a lot of it in Ojota before. It was on a Friday, and you know traffic built up more faster on a Friday and on weekdays and Friday most especially. You will only see less of traffic on Sundays, most especially in all those places that traffic builds up in the day because of people going to work. So and you cannot predict traffic on Third Milan Bridge because at any time you can get to see traffic at any time on that road. Okay, so basically I'll be talking about traffic and robbery in Lagos and I'll be sharing my experience with you. I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, and just like I've said, I'll be talking about robberies in Lagos and traffic in Lagos, and I'll be sharing my experience about those two differently, and I'll be sharing my experience about those two at the same time because I've experienced traffic and robbery at the same time in Lagos, and I've also experienced traffic without robbery in Lagos. I've experienced robbery without traffic in Lagos, but most of the robbery in Lagos that I've experienced, I've shared some with us, but that was just like 10% of what I've experienced so far in Lagos. I relocated to Lagos in 2017. So from 2017 to this time, that should be 5 years. I have experienced a lot of robberies on the road in Lagos, and traffic seems to be everyday thing. Of course, we all know that traffic and Lagos are 5 and 6. If you're coming to Lagos, the first thing you should have at the back of your mind is traffic came to Lagos to come and build empire. That's the way it is. That is just the simplest way of defining traffic in Lagos. Traffic is in Lagos to build an empire. In fact, to have an estate, so to say. So there is virtually no place in Lagos that you will not find traffic, either on a weekend or on a weekday. In fact, you can't predict traffic in Lagos. If you think there will be traffic on Third Milan Bridge on Thursday, don't be surprised that from Monday to Thursday you might not even experience traffic, depending on the time you ply that road. And sometimes, in case you've not heard, a lot of people live in Ikorodu, live in Abule Egba, live in Alagbole, live in all those exterior parts of Lagos to work on the highland, and they are the one that can actually tell you what time they leave the house. A lot of people leave the house around 4 a.m. to meet 8 o'clock, and a lot of them won't still meet 8 o'clock time, resuming time at work, and a lot of them wait till like around 11 to leave work home so that they can go home. The traffic will have calmed down, and sometimes you can ply the road around 1 o'clock, it will be traffic free. So you can't really predict traffic in Lagos. I can remember my first experience traveling to, okay, I can say traveling because it was actually from Omole to Aja Badore, so to say. I cannot forget that day. I left the house around 11 a.m. and I didn't return back home until 11 p.m. Mind you, I didn't go there to sit and then have a meeting. I only went there, and the person I went to see, our meeting only took like 10 minutes because I was so conscious of the time. Before I got there, it was so late. I left the house around 11. I actually don't know what happened on Lagos Third Milan Bridge that day. It was just traffic jammed, and we were there for like hours. And by the time I got to Ajabadore, to be precise, I spent I've spent like close to 4 5 hours, and by the time I had to do everything sharp sharp, and in 10 15 minutes I was done with what I went to do. I went to pick some stuffs, and I just gave the information I needed to give them, and off I left. I drove actually, and by the time I go, I didn't get home until 11 p.m. in the night. And sometimes you might leave the house, I might leave Omole around 11 a.m. and by 6:30 I'm already back. It happened like 2 weeks ago. Somebody just called me up and was like, do you have a time we need to go to Ikoyi? I just laughed. I was like, it's like this person doesn't know where he mentioned, because he's coming from Ibadan. He's like, you don't. So he told me that, oh no, that there was less of traffic a day before that he went, that probably it will be like that too. So I just sum everything up. I was like, okay, fine, let me just follow, being weekend and stuff, so let me just follow, let me just take him. And we left Ikeja around Toyin. We left Ikeja around 12 p.m. and I got to Ikoyi 1:45. So that is roughly like 45 minutes. It took 45 minutes to get to Ikoyi from Ikeja. And by the time he was done, he used like 2 hours for the meeting. He went to see some police officers and stuff like that. So it took a long time before he finished, like 2 hours. I was just hanging around, and I was just, because that was the first time I was going to get to that particular environment. So I was just looking around and stuff like that. Although I enjoyed myself going there because it's a quiet place, and I saw a lot of new buildings and stuff like that. So I waited, and when it was done, I was so scared, because at that time it was around 2:30 to 3. I was like, oh, and he was supposed to go back to Ibadan, and I felt like I'm not sure you have to go back to Ibadan, because by the time you get to Bega, where you're going to take a commercial vehicle to Ibadan, it will have been late. So it's better for you to sleep over. It was like, no, I should use Google Map. That's another thing. Google Map is another thing you can use. Although Google might take you to a place you've never seen or you've never heard about before, just follow Google Map. And in some cases, don't trust that Google Map, because it doesn't always work 100%. Okay, so we just took we left Ikoyi around 3 o'clock. My dear, we go to Bega 30 minutes. I was so perplexed. I was like, 30 minutes from Ikoyi to Bega. That was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. That was when I concluded that traffic in Lagos can do you anyhow. It can decide to be good to you. It can decide, I don't know. And at the end of it, by the time you have a long queue of vehicles trying to pass, trying to go slowly, by the time you are done, after like 3 4 hours, you won't see exactly one thing that caused traffic. It happened when I said, I talked about Uber the last time. I talked about Uber. It happened that from before we get to Ojota, just slightly before Ojota, around the turning that enters through to Ogudu to Ojota under bridge, I spent 4 hours. I spent 4 hours between that side to the somewhere that it will only take you less than 30 seconds to drive. It took me more than 5. For 7 hours, I was on that road. I was on that road for 7 good hours. Yes, I remember, for 7 good hours. By the time we left that Ojota, going towards Bega, it was clear. You can't see one single thing that caused traffic on the road. So I feel like, for crying out loud, what causes traffic in Lagos? Till tomorrow, even the governor cannot say. Even the president doesn't know. Nobody knows what usually causes. But I think I was having this debate with somebody sometimes ago, and the person said Lagos is overpopulated, and it's overpopulated because they don't have enough space to accommodate people. So people living in Alagbole, people living in Akute, people living in Lambe, and those axes will still tell you they live in Lagos. People living in Mowe, Ibafo area will tell you they live in Lagos. Even toll gates, even Shagam interchange, they will tell you they live in Lagos. So, and everybody works in Lagos. So imagine those people working into Lagos. That is why the last time when I talked about Ibejileki, I am not joking. Ibejileki is going to be another choked area where traffic there will be like principalities and power, just like it is in the normal Lagos here, because Ibejileki is another Lagos entirely. So I've talked extensively about that, about the Bejuleki. But right now, there is virtually no place in Lagos that is not traffic jam. And if care is not taken, I don't know. I don't know. It's just so tiring because another of my experience about traffic, but this time with robbery, was on Third Mainland Bridge. It was so dark. We were on traffic. We are on the line for like 3 hours. And if you remember a video I posted sometimes ago, if you check my page, my Facebook, my YouTube page, you see a video I posted about Lasisi trying to talk about how insane he is, how mad he is right now, then about traffic. I was in a traffic then also. That same date that he posted it, I was in a traffic also that day. And there were a lot of robberies that took place then. People will just, I realized that in Lagos, a lot of tout and stuff like that, big boys, so big boys, a lot of big boys, they will just wake up one day and just think about where to rob. Right now, if care is not taken, at exactly 5 p.m., if you try to pass through Ojota axis, Ogudu axis, you will see those guys on the lawn waiting to accost you at any point. As soon as they see you, like you have a very, although I think they target the cars they rob, and this one that I saw, I could not even make a video because it wasn't something very funny. So I was just like, I felt so disgusted. I just saw them trying to open the man's car. That is why it is always very advisable. In fact, I'm using the opportunity to tell you that anytime you are in a car and you're about driving, the first thing to do is to set your seat belt, and the second most important thing to do is to lock your car. In fact, that should be the first thing to do. You lock your car first, then you apply your seat belt, because anybody can open the door at any point in time to enter. They can rob you at any point. In fact, they can follow you, and if care is not taken, they will just rob you of everything you have. So it is always very, very important to be cautious of anywhere your environment, especially when you're in Lagos. If you are not coming to Lagos for the first time, or you are not really a Lagosian, I think a Lagosian know how to boycott their way. They know how to go about their ways. If you're coming to Lagos for the first time, or you're not conversant with all these happenings, you need to be extraordinarily careful. Anyway, let me just stop here, because this time around, by the time I come back, I want to talk about robbery and traffic, my experience with both, and my experience about robbery alone in Lagos, because it's not something it's not something that can actually leave my mind on time. It's something that I'm sure I will remember for the rest of my life. It's a very sad experience. Okay, so now when next I come your way, of course, I'm going to talk about both the robbery and the traffic in Lagos that I experienced. The one that happened in front of me, the messages that I received. I only have 4 messages for now, so I want to compile the other messages coming in so that I can give you the full messages.